Hey guys, I hope everyone's doing well. I know things are still crazy in the outside world with the pandemic and COVID. Um, Today, I would like to kind of make a little bit of an addendum video to last time's video, which was a discussion about prescriptions, the medications I take, and kind of how to organize your medicine and make sure you're taking everything on time. Today, what I want to discuss is over-the-counter medications, vitamins, supplements, herbal remedies, etc. Because I noticed that a lot of people after transplant or people with autoimmune or chronic diseases, they're constantly questioning kind of what kind of medications like are they allowed to take that you can find in your drugstores, etc. So for me, the first and most obvious rule of thumb is do not take anything unless it is okayed by your transplant team or a doctor, etc. Like if you haven't specifically already been told, hey, you can take that medication, it's cool, you're good to go, check in with a medical professional who knows your history before you start popping the pills, okay? And we'll go over why in just a second. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is herbal remedies. And I don't mean like your chamomile tea. Okay, that's fine. Go ahead and drink your tea, your sleepy time tea. Most of that is fine, even though because it's herbal, some of those teas you may need to check with your doctor. As far as like herbal remedies, like you see the skinny tea and skinny mint or any type of pill that says it's an herbal remedy that's going to help you lose weight, the ginkgo biloba, anything that says it's going to help you with your memory or that it's some type of supplement that'll help you build muscle mass or help you with erectile dysfunction, but it's not an actual medication, it's some kind of herb, something like that. Guys, I can sum that up for you real quick, okay? It's very easy. Just don't. Okay, there's no science there most of the time. It's like some weird mixture of sketchy ingredients anyway that wouldn't work on a normal person. And so as someone who already takes a bunch of medications and has to worry about how things interfere with their system and their medication, why even risk it? Okay? And I'm saying that because I'm pretty sure any good doctor is going to tell you the same thing. Because I was told that, like, don't mess around with herbal remedies and supplements, guys. And a big thing, aside from the fact that they're mostly fake, in my opinion, is they really can mess with and interfere with your ability to absorb your prescribed medications and for them to work. And like, why risk that? It's not worth it. Okay, find something else. Change of diet, exercise, whatever. Don't mess with the herbal stuff, okay? The essential oils, the crystals, and all that. Guys, it's not science. It's not gonna do what you hope it'll do. So just toss that out the window. Talk to your doctors about some other type of help or medication or therapy that can help you with your goal, whether it's to lose weight or build muscle mass or get that libido going, whatever. Okay, so just don't mess around with those. Like I said, your teas are usually okay unless it's like a really weird kind of herbal mix, then you might want to check, but just leave that stuff at the door. The same thing for like the protein powders and stuff. Like something like Ensure, like if you just can't keep weight on for some reason and maybe you have a hard time eating food, like you have a lot of nausea that you're dealing with, Ensure and something like that is okay. But like those creatine powders and all that stuff like people use for working out, again, they're usually not a good idea. They get in the way of what your prescribed medications are trying to help you with, and they're just not good for you. So, again, talk to your doctors about that, but they're probably going to shut you down on it. So I'm just letting you know here. So you heard it here. Maybe you don't have to go talk to your doctors, just these are things that I've asked before. Like we've all had the whole prednisone thing where we're like, oh, I'm fat, I gained weight after the surgery or this or that, and we want to lose weight, and all the doctors tell you not to mess around with the herbal stuff. So another thing is vitamins, okay? And I'm not here to tell you we can't take vitamins, because we can, obviously. But a lot of people who have had transplant surgery, who have chronic illness or autoimmune disease, we are a little obsessive about staying healthy. And sometimes people think that just like loading up on vitamins is the way to stay healthy and keep our immune systems up. And again, that is not the case. One thing you have to consider is, even though it's a vitamin and not a prescription medication, it's still something that your kidneys have to process. And when you already have 5, 6, 7, or more prescribed medications that your body's having to filter and process and that's running through your kidneys, if you don't need those extra vitamins, like if it's not something the doctor says you need, then don't do that to your kidneys. Like, give them a break. They're already doing a lot of hard work for us, which is why we hydrate like motherfuckers. Just don't. Just be nice to your kidneys. If you're having an issue, like for instance, I am like slightly anemic just in this past year, your doctors will see that, because most of us with chronic illness, autoimmune, post-transplant, we get blood work often enough that when there's some kind of imbalance in our bodies, the doctors can see that in our blood work and they'll say, hey, your iron's looking low, I'm gonna need you to take this. Or hey, you're getting to that age where you have to worry about osteoporosis, women, start popping that calcium pill. Some things like vitamin D and vitamin C, if you take it like a normal person, just one little vitamin a day, especially during flu season or cold season, that's usually okay, because it's not going to interfere with anything. It's not that harmful to your kidneys. But again, don't go like, oh, I don't want to get a cold, I don't want to get the flu, and start popping like 5 little calcium C tablets a day, because just like anything else, if you build up too much of something in your system and it's more than your system can process, it's gonna become toxic and it's gonna have adverse effects. Okay, and we've already had enough of that BS with our regular lives and our regular medical issues. Let's not do it to ourselves on top of that. Okay, so before you go pop in vitamins thinking, hey, it's gonna help, it's gonna make me healthier, it's gonna help my hair grow, it's gonna make my nails stronger, we always go back to the golden rule: check in with your doctors. They know what they're talking about. Most doctors will probably put you on a multivitamin anyway. If you have imbalances and medical issues, like me, or like a lot of the people that I'm addressing, your doctor is going to take care of you. He's going to look after you. He's going to say, hey, it's to your benefit to be taking this type of vitamin. Take a multivitamin. Dude, I take Flintstone vitamins, okay? The little chewable guys that I've been taking since I was like 2. I still pop those and I feel no shame. And they're perfectly fine. They don't interfere with my medicine. They have all the requisite vitamins that you need: D, C, E, B, iron, calcium, whatever you need in there. And they come in great little flavors and they're so cute. And they have little gummy vitamins. Like, it's not a pill that you have to swallow. You can get chewables. It's okay. But just don't overload on the vitamins, because vitamins, like anything else, you pee a lot of that stuff out, guys. You're not getting as much as you think. So talk to your doctors. And the final thing to talk about is over-the-counter or OTC medications. As a rule, I personally try to stay away from any type of over-the-counter medication unless I just absolutely feel like I need it. Because of what I said previously, I already have, several different medications that I'm prescribed that are running through my system, that my body's trying to process, that my kidneys are trying to deal with. And if you don't need to tax your system anymore, then don't. And before you do, for the 7th time, check with your doctors. I know for a fact that post-transplant, a lot of doctors don't want you messing around with aspirin, or Tylenol, ibuprofen, Aleve, any of that kind of thing. They tell you to be very, very wary of it. Like, I'm allowed to take Tylenol if I really, really feel like I need to, but I can only take like the regular strength and that extra strength Tylenol. I I cannot take aspirin. Aspirin's a blood thinner. You have to be very careful about that. Unless your doctor specifically tells you to take aspirin, don't. And if they're telling you to take it, they usually tell you to take baby aspirin. Yeah, so don't go popping that stuff, like, unless you really have a killer headache or something like that. It's not worth it. For things like Pepto-Bismol, Tums, Imodium, Miralax, all that stuff for your GI tract, if you're like me, and if you have Crohn's, you have no colon, if you have some type of GI disorder or autoimmune disease, that stuff is actually really dangerous. Because back in the day, before I had my colon removed, I used to pop Imodium like it was going out of style. And I used to take Tums and everything, thinking it was going to help. And in the moment, it does. But I actually found out from my doctor that it's very bad for your system to take that kind of thing if you actually have a gastric disorder. I mean, if it's just like, oh, I ate something bad, I need some Pepto, that's fine. But if you have a disorder or an illness that relates to your gastro tract, especially if it's like ulcers, any type of ulcerative syndrome or disease, that stuff is just going to eat you up worse. Another thing to consider is that when you take something like Tums or Pepto-Bismol, what it does to relieve your pain is it coats your GI tract. Okay, it coats your throat and all the way down to your tummy, and like you've seen the ads where the little pink Pepto-Bismol comes and makes a nice protective layer on your stomach, which is great unless you're already taking a bunch of other medications that your body needs to absorb, and now you can't because your stomach is coated with Pepto. Okay, so stuff like Pepto-Bismol, Tums, Rolaids, all that stuff, it can really mess with your body's ability to process the other medications you're on. And those prescription medications are far more important than your Tums or your Rolaids, your Gas-X, whatever it is you're taking, unless your doctor tells you it's okay. If you're dealing with like nausea, heartburn, indigestion, any of that stuff, and you talk to your doctor, they will probably give you a prescription that will work better with the other medications that you're taking. So if you're popping Rolaids every 2 hours, or you're taking a swig of Pepto 4 or 5 times a day, stop, because it's going to mess up your other medication. It's going to get in the way of that. So the other thing is cold medicine. That's actually the one that they seem to be the least strict about. Like Robitussin, usually pretty fine. I've never had a doctor be like, oh, you gotta watch out for that stuff. Usually they're like, hey, yeah, if you have a cold, go get some Robitussin. Cough drops are fine. Benadryl, I think, is okay in moderation. Everything in moderation, guys. Like anything, even if your doctor says it's okay to take, moderation. Don't sit there and throw back 4 Benadryls at once. It's gonna mess you up. You're gonna be a little bit loopy. Sleep medications, I know a lot of us have a problem sleeping, and a lot of people will take melatonin or Z-Quil. That stuff is actually usually okay by the doctors. Again, if you follow the instructions, and only if you're taking it for a week or 2. Like if you have gone months without being able to sleep, then it's time to talk to the doctor and get prescribed something that can help you. It's always safer to talk to the doctor and get an okay, and honestly to let them give you something that they know will work with your other medications. I just want to talk about it because we already talked about medication and I didn't really cover this. And in some of the post-transplant forums that I'm on, that comes up a lot. People are like, hey, are we allowed to take this? Are we allowed to take that? And anyone with experience with the post-transplant world or the autoimmune world, chronic disease world, all of us who've been doing this for a while, we all say, hey, check with your team, check with your doctor. But also there are certain things that we all know you just don't mess around with, you don't take. So hey, let's say it all together. The golden rule: check with your team. And then the second thing is like, do you really need it? Do you really, really need that Tylenol or that Robitussin? Or, I'm not saying the pain's not real, but we don't need to be throwing back a pill with every little convenience. Like I have to have a killer headache or just wicked cramps before I'm willing to take something to make that feel better. I know another thing that comes up a lot is cannabis oil, edibles, smoking marijuana for pain. I know nothing about this. It's not something I can discuss. I have no experience. It seems like some people are prescribed that and it works really well for them. Some people have been told no by their doctors. Check with your team. Don't just run out and start buying cannabis products, assuming they're going to solve all your problems, because again, they still have chemicals in them. It could interfere, right? And we want to be living our best lives. We want to be in optimal health. So take the precautions, be responsible, and just make sure it's okay before you go running out and trying to self-medicate. All right? So something to think about, especially since sorry guys, I can't talk. Especially since it's winter and we're all trying to keep away the flu and the cold and all the respiratory infections. So just give your doctor a holler. That's what they're there for. That's why we pay them all that money. So stay safe and check with your doctors before you run out and buy any type of medication. All right?